3D food printing is a relatively young technology, although in reality it's based on 3D printing, which is pretty old nowadays. But I'm talking with Nina Hoff. She's CEO of Biflow, one of the let's say most well-known companies in the 3D food printing worldwide. And welcome, Nina. I would like to hear from you what your company is doing, but basically also what your history is and how you see the future in 3D food printing. So the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Peter. Great to be here. Well, as you introduced myself, my name is Nina. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Biflow, and our company was established in 2015. And as you mentioned, we're one of the few companies out there focusing solely on the development of 3D food printing technology, which is still quite new and innovative, but at the same time actually already quite old, at least when I look at it from my perspective. It's already out there for almost 14 years. That means that I was still in high school when the first 3D printers for food were being developed. I thought it was a great opportunity to take a look back a little bit on what's happened since 2006 actually, and also look a little bit on, as a teaser, on what's going to happen, in our opinion, in Biflow's opinion, for the future when we talk about 3D food printing technology. So that was a little bit the idea. So yeah, my title for the presentation is Secrets of 3D Food Printing Disclosed. And I think with looking back, it becomes more clear of what those secrets are really, what those secrets are, and that are actually not such big secrets. But
okay.
So I will share with you, I think, my screen.
Yeah.
To work.
So actually you started yourself 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah, no, 5 years. Actually, in November we are celebrating our 5th birthday.
Okay.
So let me see if this works. I can probably hide this.
Yeah, everything is okay.
Everything okay, great. All right. Indeed, we were established in 2015, so we're almost celebrating our 5th anniversary, which in terms of startup is quite special. There are not a lot of companies who make it for longer than that amount of years. So we're extremely proud of our birthday this year, but more on that later. Because now I would like to take you and the viewers back to the past. And actually, when I talk about the past, it's just for you 14 years ago. For me, that is quite some time ago. But maybe most of you already know it, that Cornell University in 2006 started with the development of a 3D food printer. And it was all based a little bit on accident or on experimenting with it. Because there was this whole project called Fab at Home at Cornell University, which started actually a little bit earlier already, where the idea was from the scientists over there and the students to see what would be all possible with 3D printing technology in general. And one of the thoughts that came up there was, could we try something with food? And that's actually the image that you see here on the right side. A little bit of carrot printing, I believe it was, potato puree, and some broccoli. And it doesn't look very appealing. But immediately, the idea was that with 3D food printing technology, this could bring a lot to, for example, the HoReCa industry, so to restaurant chains or to bakeries. So, to give a bit background, this technology is called extrusion-based printing. And this is actually still the technology that we see out there today when we talk about in general. This is probably the technology that you will see most. Well, the printer that you see here was tested by the French Culinary Institute a few years later, so around 2009. There were some chefs that were invited to take this printer with them and to start experimenting with that. And what was quite interesting to see is that the conclusion of the experts back then, so we're talking 2009, was that this technology would really contribute to creating new textures in food that wouldn't be possible in another way. And when we're talking about another way, then it's mainly, for example, molding, using molds for food. On the same hand, because these were chefs talking, they were excited about all kinds of textures in food. The engineers who developed this machine and the scientists were especially enthusiastic about the precision of the machine. Because what you see a lot in the food industry is that when we're talking about, for example, special birthday cakes or beautiful decorated cookies, there's a lot of precision engineering involved. And they saw it more as a tool indeed for smaller bakeries, where there's not a lot of people that are capable to work with their hands in a quite precise way, to have this machine as a tool to decorate.
Okay.
So immediately already, let's say 15 years ago, they thought about two applications. So either changing texture or use it as a decoration tool. Until, let's say, a few years later, what happened a few years past that time is, of course, that you saw a lot of developments going on. And when we're talking about developments, it wasn't per se in the development of new technology, so different than the extrusion-based technology, although there was a side step also to, for example, the powder bed printing. But what you mainly saw was that the take for the development of 3D food printing was from an ingredient standpoint. For example, in 2013, where Floris, my brother, did his internship at TNO, where they developed, let's say, the first real chocolate printer out there, just to see if chocolate would be an ingredient to print with. But we can see that with way more ingredients. So it's very interesting that in those 6 years, or in those 7 years of market and developments within 3D food printing technology, it wasn't per se about the technology, it was more about what can we print? What kind of food can we print with it? So it was very much into the research stage. What you can see now a little bit, when you see here 2015 in the timeline, is that at a certain point, so almost 9 years after the first introduction of 3D food printing, the first commercial 3D food printers became available. And when I'm talking about those commercial availability of extrusion-based 3D food printers, we of course put ourselves there on the slide, but you can also see the developments within Procucini in Germany, Natural Machines, the Foodini in Spain, the Magic Candy Factory, the Shock Edge, of course, and one of the more Asian brands, the Reebok Sweden. And all of these commercially available technologies are extrusion-based 3D food printers. So although there was also research about the powder bed printing, the real commercial application lied more into what is currently out there on the market, and actually more into what engineers were saying in 2006, 2007, machines to use as your personal decorator. Using the 3D food printers to create beautiful designs that could otherwise not be done by hand or by mold, or to do a lot of precision work that normal people just cannot do. So that's a little bit when you look back from 2006 to let's say 2015, when the first commercial printers became available. A lot of research has been done into ingredients. Commercial available printers are all extrusion based and really into the design of foods. And when we talk about those ingredients, what we see is that a lot of ingredients have been researched. Of course, chocolate, that already talks about that one.
Yeah.
Probably also one of the favorite products out there because it's tasty. And it's one of the few products out there that can be 3D printed, but can also be stored in an easier way. Because with the extrusion-based technology, one of the hurdles that we have at the moment is that you print with fresh food, so with fresh ingredients, that you have to make a puree out of it and then print it. So it doesn't change anything about the food itself other than the design. And when you work with fresh products like fruits or vegetables, that you can also see in the images below, you have the problem of storing it and a limited capability of storing the food. But on the other hand, with the ingredients that can stay a bit longer, like chocolate, for example, we do see some nice applications. For example, Cadbury, who launched a chocolate printer as a decoration tool in the mall in Australia, or Callebaut, of course, who now has an industrial printer who's printing chocolate for hotels and catering chains. Another interesting ingredient that you can keep a bit longer than, let's say, a fruit or a vegetable, of course, Barilla, with the pasta printing. And all of them have thought from the perspective first, what can be printed, so what ingredients can be printed, and then what application can we use for that? How can we make business out of that? And that is what you now see with the commercial available machines, but also with the commercially available services. What is more what Barilla and Callebaut, for example, are offering. And that's also a little bit one of the points that I would like to make here. It's now 2020. Most of the successful business models being launched have just been launched. Barilla last year, Callebaut this year with the chocolate printing on a way bigger scale than we could have imagined. The commercially available printers are out there for 5 years, really opening up the market. But it is still, when we hear about 3D food printing, a lot about what can be printed, what ingredients can be printed. And we believe that we should turn that table around. Slowly, there are more and more companies that are actually doing that. Think about TNO, for example, together with Wageningen University and the TU Eindhoven, who are now working on a project involving all kinds of parties of the whole supply chain to see how can we first think about an application before we work on the technology or on the ingredients. And that is also how actually Biflo always tried to present its company to the outside world. When we started Biflo, and I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, when we started with 3D food printing, actually, it was for us also a little bit like what happened at Cornell University, a little bit of a tryout, a little bit of an accident. Let's see what we can do other than plastic printing. And with printing with Nutella, standing on many 3D printing fairs, including the 3D food printing conference, we gained so much attention because our technology was commercially available, that for us it was also a little bit of a surprise to think, okay, what can people do with a 3D food printer? And what we've done in the past 5 years is a lot of research about potential applications. Of course, we're selling the 3D food printer to restaurants, where high-end restaurants, where they make beautiful creations for food. But we've also collaborated with way more parties from the supply chain. We've talked to farmers to see if there's a solution in 3D food printing technology that could help with food waste. We've talked to catering companies for upscaling on events. We've talked to food ingredient suppliers like Verstegen, who are always looking on new innovation in food in order to stay alive as a company and making sure that they grow. We've been in the Albert Heijn with a pilot in 2015 to see if there would be a commercial application for personally decorating your cakes when you're touring around doing some groceries and come back in 5 minutes and have your name printed on a cake or a happy birthday. So the point that I want to make here actually is that it is super important that we're not only talking about the technology and about the ingredients, because a lot of research has been done there and there is still a lot of research going on, but that we're way more going to invest time, money, and efforts into applications. The technology should come in actually second. First of all, we should see how can we change the way we eat today, for example. That's also part of Pavlov's mission. We want to change the way how people prepare and experience their food, because we want to aim to a more healthy and sustainable world, and that is very necessary as well. Since there's so much going on in the world and with the coronavirus going on, it's a great example that how the food supply chain has been introduced right now is not a sustainable way for at least my generation and the generations under me, let's say, to make sure that in 50 years we still have enough food.
Okay, so that means that you, as I see the in the slide, you go to personalized nutrition. That's sort of your aim.
Yes, indeed. Like I was saying, our mission is to contribute to a more healthy and sustainable world. And of course, there's a lot of things coming together there. And one of the things that we've been really researching for the last few years is not per se from a technology perspective, but how is the world of food changing? And what you see there is, and there's of course a lot of companies and people that talk about it, is that it's actually very strange, for example, that a sportsman or woman knows exactly what to eat to deliver, to win a golden medal, but that we don't know that. And that it's becoming more and more important to eat not only healthy, because healthy is a very big, how do you say that, a big saying, but what does healthy mean? And it's probably different for you, Peter.
Yeah, for you. Yeah, true. Yeah.
And that's why we've said indeed that we really believe in a future where personalized nutrition will become possible.
Does it also mean, and I won't go into detail here because you will be speaking at our 3D footprinting conference in a couple of months' time. Does it also contain, for instance, that the printer is just a tool and that you need to have more, let's say, tools around it in order to come to a personalized nutrition, let's say, approach?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Well, we won't go there in detail because that's for the conference. So thank you very much for your history explanation and your short view on the future. But as always, at this Yakayima TV talk, I ask a personal question. So, what is your favorite? Well, food in this case is maybe a bit too much, but your favorite city, your favorite music, or what is your passion? So, you've passionately explained what you're doing. So, explain us now what your passion is, your other passion.
My other passion is, and maybe I will close then my presentation quickly. There we go, then I can see you again. That's also more fun when I talk about my passion. We were talking about this briefly already. My favorite country to visit is definitely Italy. Also because of the food.
Yeah.
There's places in Italy that have the oldest people around the world because they eat very healthy there.
Yeah. Well, the Japanese will disagree, but anyway, that's
what's it called? The blue zones, I believe, in the world.
Yeah.
Different zones, and one of those lies in Italy. I've not been there, unfortunately, yet, but it's definitely on my wish list. No, but Italy is for sure one of my favorite countries to visit, and it doesn't matter if it's around the coast or more in let's say in the center of Italy. It's a very warm culture. The food is amazing. It's
Yeah.
fresh food
Yeah.
most often, which I absolutely love. The temperature is great, and the culture there. So yeah, I hope this whole situation with Corona will be gone soon, so I can treat myself on another visit to eat some lovely pizza and tiramisu.
Okay. Okay.
It's
Well.
every now and then, I think.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing your work, your view on 3D food printing, and your well, your passion or your love for Italy. Thank you. We will see each other at the 3D food printing conference, and look forward to hear more in depth what your plans are with your company. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.